Welcome back here. Big last game of the day. Friday's competition 2014 PSP West Coast Open. Houston Heat taking on Tampa Bay Damage. Both of these teams are 1-0 heading into this game, so it's a big test. Is it going to be Houston Heat or Tampa Bay Damage? They're going to steal the thunder here. The last game of the day, we're about to find out. I'm Matty Marshall, got Todd Martinez up here, and it looks like, oh wow, immediately two players from Houston Heat turn around right into paintballs as Tampa Bay Damage has those off-the-break shots down real nice. But Houston Heat getting a shot on Keith Brown too, so it's 3-on-4 right now. Thomas Taylor, Greg Sewers, and Tim Montress are left alive for Heat. Tampa Bay Damage has Brian Smith, Timmy Probst, Jacob, and Jason Edwards.
It looks like, yeah, with Keith Brown walking off, both towers were doubled up for Damage, but looks like Jacob Edwards makes his way out to that cake on the Dorito side. Chad George and Ryan Moorhead both coming off for Houston Heat. Just Sewers, Taylor, and Montress are left alive for Heat over there. Sewers and Montress are split in those towers in the middle. Thomas Taylor up in that wing on the Snake side, and Montress are getting shot out of that can on the Snake side, so just two bodies left alive now as Jacob Edwards makes his way out to the Dorito one. He and Jason logging down that Dorito side, going after Greg Sewers.
It's going to be tough with just Thomas Taylor and Greg Sewers looking at 4 bodies for Tampa Bay Damage, and here come the bodies for Tampa Bay Damage starting to loosen up, fly down that field, and Greg Sewers, the only player left alive. Thomas Taylor got shot out of there. So the first strike is going to go to Tampa Bay Damage. 4 players left alive for them. And nice job by Brian Smith, Jacob Edwards, and the rest of the crew. Brian Smith with 2 confirmed kills. He shot both Ryan Moorhead and Tim Montresor. So nice first point, man. Setting the tempo. Tampa Bay Damage going up 1-0 here. Let's check out on the matchups. You know, Tampa Bay Damage historically has been a little bit more of a defensive team, even though they have such a ridiculous offensive capability. So on paper, just because of what we've seen for the past couple years, especially on a field layout like this, you would have to give the advantage attacking to Houston Heat. But I'll tell you what, man, that last game that we saw Damage play against Moscow Red Legion, that was almost a new Tampa Bay Damage as far as their aggressive mindset. They, on a field layout that you could play super slow, a la Dynasty and Impact in the beginning of the tournament, they didn't come out that way, and they shut down Moscow Red Legion and played phenomenal. So, you know, on paper, this is kind of a toss-up. I mean, Damage won this event last year, and they're much more consistent than Houston Heat. But with the lineup and the stars that Houston Heat has on that team, it's kind of a wash now, man. I have to say, again, flip a coin on this one. Both of these teams are 1-1. Both of these teams look really good in their first games. Heat put up 7 points against VCK's 1, welcoming them to the league just like Vicious did in their 7-2 victory over VCK. Damage played Moscow Red Legion, beat them 7-3. So, you know, this is going to be a tough one to call.
I got Tampa by 3.
Tampa by 3?
Yes.
Todd, what do you think?
I think Houston Heat's going to come back here. I think this is going to be Houston Heat. They're going to win it by like 1 or 2.
I don't know. It's, again, too tough to call. Very, very close on paper, but it doesn't matter. You know, we can sit here and talk forever. It's all about shooting the paintballs at each other. And right now, these two teams going to throw down here for another point. 1-0 is the score. Still tons of time left. We just got going. Dan Holiday coming off early for Tampa Bay Damage, as well as Greg Sewers for Houston Heat. 4 bodies left alive for both of these teams. A little bit better cross-field spread, just slightly for Tampa Bay Damage. And then now Tampa Bay Damage digging out on that D side of the field.
Yeah, Damage got 4 bodies alive over here. Dorito 1, the Dorito Tower, the Snake Tower, and the Snake Side Temple. Jason Edwards got a bounce on the inside there. Unlucky break for Houston Heat. That would have opened up the door for them on that Dorito side, but he's still alive and shooting paint down that, right down the alley on that Dorito side, kind of keeping Sewers stuck in there. Almost had an opportunity to go. Monville also in that Snake Side can, shooting that way. I'm sorry, that is Chad Boucher over there, looking to make his move on the Dorito side.
And Chad Boucher is having a good year. it's tough to even get playing time on Heat because there's so many good players on that team. But, you know, for a guy that flirted with a little bit of retirement, he's really stepped up in the
nice
points
shot
that he
in the
gets.
middle. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Was that Woodley?
That was 13. Jason Edwards taking one in the face.
Well, yeah, but I think it was Woodley.
I think it was Woodley, too.
Yeah, but Woodley scurrying out was able to get the shot, but he gets shot as well. So now 3-on-3, Brian Smith, Chad Bougier, and Dalton Vanderbilt left alive for damage.
And there goes Dalton.
Takes a walk too. So now just 2 players left alive for damage. So this is Houston Heat's chance with the 3 bodies they have alive to try to work that high body situation.
Thomas Taylor tried to make a move to the snake, and he gets shot out. So it's a 2-on-2 situation right now. Monville in the can, Boucher in the tower on the Dorito side. There goes Chad Bougier all the way to the snake. Monville going to fill out to the snake side corner.
I'm so jealous watching the kids run around so fast. Like, seriously.
Brian Smith bumps all the way out to the Dorito side corner. Chad Boucher going to mirror him up. Chad Boucher going to make it out.
Oh, nice shot across the field. Look at that shot, Todd. Across the field, Chad Boucher getting shot from the snake by Brian Smith.
So,
I'm sorry, Chad Boucher.
Did Chad Bougier shoot Chad Boucher?
He did. CB.
So Chad Bougier plays for Damage and shot Chad Boucher, who plays for Houston Heat. I know it's a little confusing out there, but what's not confusing is that right now it's 2-on-1. Brian Smith and Chad Bougier left alive for Tampa Bay Damage, 16:07 to go, and just Sam Monville left alive here for Houston Heat. We've seen Sam Monville pull off some low body situations
like this,
before.
especially in this situation, without question.
Yeah, and he's in that back corner bunker, so it's not a bad gunfighting spot, but it's going to take a mistake, and Chad Bougier is like, you know what, I'm not even going to let you have a chance to gunfight your way into a one-on-one. Nope, I'm just going to run you down because I know I still got one guy left alive, and Brian Smith.
That's what I would do for sure.
So, nice work. Now Damage goes up 2-0 against Houston Heat in the battle of these 2 Titan teams. Last game of Friday's competition, and we're going to start out tomorrow with that bracket of death. 187 Crew against Art Chaos, then Ironman Dynasty, Impact Art Chaos, Dynasty Crew, and Impact Ironman. That's a crazy set of 5 games right there, man.
Yeah, I mean this matchup right here. This was the matchup we saw first game of the Chicago Open, and it was just a bloodbath, back and forth and back and forth. And I believe Damage ended up coming out on top.
I just really like what I'm seeing out of Damage, man. That first game they played, and right now, these 2 points we've seen, they look very hungry. They look like they want to win a tournament again. And with the talent that they have, the experience they have, they won this event last year, but they haven't made the finals since then. I think they're ready to win a tournament. We'll see. It's up to them. This game brought to you by Die Precision. We'll be right back after a few words from our sponsors. Back here, right back into the action. Houston Heat taking on Tampa Bay Damage. You're looking at Houston Heat on the breakout. Now you're looking at Damage. Damage on the right-hand side of your screen. Houston Heat on the left. Still tons of time to play. We just got rolling here. Chad Bougier. I love how they're sending Chad Bougier as an attack player up in the center. And now also joining him up there is Timmy Probst. So 2 real solid attackers for Tampa Bay Damage up in the center. And here comes John Woodley past the 50-yard line.
I love that move right there.
Completely commit to take out Timmy Probst, who's going to have to walk off. So Woodley clears 1 out. But it's a battle of attrition up there. And they still have, Damage still has Chad Bougier up in the center, shooting towards that snake side to lock that lane down. 4 players left alive for these 2 teams. Houston Heat has Tim Montresor, Chad George, Ryan Moorhead, and Greg Sewers.
And it looks like Moorhead makes it out there to the Dorito 1, working with Greg Sewers, Tim Montresor in that snake side can. Chad George looking across the field from the snake side temple. He's got Keith Brown in his mirror. And Chad Bougier still up in that second snake side can. Keith Brown getting shot out of that temple. Chad Bougere trying to come across. He gets chopped up, I believe, by Montresor picked him up. So 4-on-2 right now in favor of Houston Heat. Chad George looking to wrap on Jason Edwards, standing tall.
Phil Todd, big point right now for Houston Heat as they're down. They haven't scored a point yet, down by 2. And if they can put this one up here, take it to a 1-point margin, that would be huge rather than going down by 3. It's going to take a lot out of Jacob Edwards and Dalton Vanderbilt. Capable players, obviously. Amazing talents, those 2 guys. But they're looking at a real strong lineup of Montresor, George Moorhead, and Sewers still on the field. Playing smart right now. Houston Heat still in the backfield mostly. They do have Greg Sewers in D2, but other than that, really not risking anything. And then now Tim Montresor, big bite all the way to the back corner bunker. He's able to make it out though. And then Chad George is gonna leapfrog him, go right into Snake 1, then to Snake 2. Oh, look at that though.
Yeah, that was, I mean, I'm sorry, that was a bad move right there, my number 31.
Jacob Edwards getting taken out. Here comes Ryan
Moorhead. Out the middle of nowhere.
You know, Ryan Moorhead, arguably the best Snake player of the tournament at the last event in Chicago, now more on the D side, which is where he kind of cut his teeth. And able to close it out, stays alive, grabs the flag, and hangs it up. So nice work by Houston Heat to stay in this matchup. Take it to a 1-2 game, 13:04.
Lots of time left, Matty.
Yeah, there we go.
So 2-1.
Getting back in this game.
2-1. I mean, you can't count either teams out. So.
Yeah, still a lot of game left. You know, 13:04
but
to
still,
go.
Look at Houston 4 alive.
Well, they needed that point.
Yeah, they did. Look at this replay right here, man.
Yeah, so check out this replay. There's Jacob Edwards out there trying to play that blind area,
I don't know,
around.
I really don't know why he went there, to be honest
well,
with
you know, look, it's Jacob Edwards, so he must have saw something. He must have saw some sort of opening, something he could work with. Well, then he ended up seeing a bunch of paint headed towards his way.
You're right, though. He's really good about that. Like, he sees those the lanes and the blind spots.
It just didn't work out.
Yeah, that time, no, it didn't.
Yeah, it did not work out for him. There's Dan Holliday, the fastest man in the league. Still thinks he says he could take Carl Markowski or Alex Goldman. We will see one of these days. But, you know, that's the strength of both of these teams is the depth. You know, when you're looking at teams like 187, looking at teams like Houston VCK, they have a real strong core roster, but they don't have the depth that these teams that have been around for a long time have. And Houston Heat and Tampa Bay Damage, so deep, man for man, all the way down, every single guy on the roster. There are no weak links. And but these are teams that are assembled for one reason, and that's to win tournaments. Damage has not won a tournament since this event last year. And Houston Heat, their last victory was the event before this event last year. Was 2013, the Chicago Open. But Houston Heat did take second at the last event. And big resurgence from them, finally getting that superstar roster hitting on all cylinders. They just met up against an Edmonton Impact that has just been unstoppable this year, particularly in Europe where they've won 3 events and taken a second place and a first place here in the PSP.
Houston Heat doubling up both of those towers.
Split screen breakout, Damage to your left, Heat in your right. Here comes Houston Heat.
Yeah,
John Woodley on your screen.
Yeah, John Woodley there in that center. And we've seen certain players attack that center. Tough kid, man. We saw him blow his shoulder out and refused to leave the field. Played the whole point with his shoulder at a joint World Cup. And really great talent. It's hard.
And nice kid, too.
Yeah, nice kid. It's hard to make your way. I actually was able to do a podcast with him and Ronnie Dizon beginning of the year. So go to paintballaccess.com and where you already are and check out the podcast that we were able to do with them. Kept talking about coming up. You know, Woodley from the New York area and Dizon Midwest, Chicago area. But Woodley taking the walk, not able to stay alive up in that spot. It's a tough spot to live up there. So both Tim Montresor and John Woodley have both walked off early here. Chad George, Greg Sewers, and Ryan Moorhead left alive for Houston Heat against 5 Tampa Bay Damage players. Keith Brown, the Edwards brothers, Brian Smith, and Timmy Probst.
Oh, there we go. Timmy taking a walk right now. Timmy Probst getting shot, trying to walk up the middle of the field.
Well, that's going to even it up a little bit. It's 3-on-4 right now. But Houston Heat, somebody is going to have to win a gunfight here in order to even up this body count. Tampa Bay Damage, 4 players alive for them, 3 for Houston Heat, 11 minutes and 34 seconds to play. Right now, you are looking at Houston Heat, 2. There's actually Houston Heat with their 4, and you're looking at 3 of them on your screen right now, and those are the guys in the center. For the bunker to the right-hand side right there, that's that insert bunker to the snake. Very important bunker, and there you can see 2 players, Ryan Moorhead and Chad George, over on the D side, rolling their guns towards that side. And it's basically been up to Chad George to go back and forth to, keep anyone from Tampa Bay Damage getting in the snake. But Damage is slow playing this one. Oh, look at that. That's an interesting route to run. Able to make it in there. Nice job by Brian Smith.
Yeah, Brian Smith coming across from the snake side can, getting into the snake and going all the way to the head of the first snake. He's looking across the field, just 3 bodies alive. Chad George fills out of that snake side temple into the snake side corner. So Chad George keeping an eye on Keith Brown and Brian Smith over here. Sewers and Montress are able to finally get out of that little cube and get into Dorito 1. And he's either looking to get a really low shot or jump across. That's Chad George on your screen right there in the snake side corner. 10:15 to go, about almost going to reach the halfway point here of this match. 2-1 ball game. There's Chad George, there's Chad Boucher in the Houston Heat pit.
Watching his boys, knowing they need 1 more point to tie it up. Time's starting to tick off now. Long point here. Haven't seen a ton of long points today. This is a particularly long one, and anytime you see those points start to run long, sometimes they get extra long because as you run out of paint, you really have to start marking your shots. So slowly but surely, Tampa Bay Damage with their 1 body advantage, getting a little bit better field position over here on the D side. Brian Smith, who's not his first time playing the snake, and he's a hard guy to shoot out once he gets in there, especially when he has a 1 body advantage. But Tampa Bay Damage, though they do have a 1 body advantage, not wanting to make any mistakes and throw this game back towards Houston Heat's side. They don't want to give him anything here now. Brian Smith methodically makes his way into the snake 50. On your screen right now, the shadows starting to cast themselves, and you can actually play those shadows. Oh, Ryan Moorhead getting shot at D2, and that's going to open things up a little bit for Tampa Bay Damage. They still have 4 players left alive, and here comes the attack on the D side. Jacob Edwards with his move to the 50D. Now 2 players at the 50-yard line from Tampa Bay Damage, just looking at Chad George and Greg Sewers from Houston Heat.
Sewers, yeah, split setup here for Houston Heat. Sewers in the Dree side corner and Chad George in the snake side corner. Both switching back and forth as Brian Smith is sitting here in the 50 snake. Just playing very slow and patient, letting this time roll off. 4 bodies. Jacob Edwards over there in the 50 Dorito. He's got his brother Jason with him now, who comes around and across into Dorito 2, looking to get a better shot. Here comes Greg Sewers trying to make a big move, but he gets chopped up. So Tampa Bay Damage playing some smart paintball right now, not giving any bodies away, forcing Houston Heat's hand to try and make a move to open that game up.
Yeah, that's always a tough one, man. I mean, if you're Greg Sewers and you're in that spot, and the other team has a 1-point lead, time's starting to tick off. Maybe he was out of paint, but trying to make that big, bold move down the D side, got chopped up, though, didn't really get too close. But the good thing, though, even though he did get shot, and that did end the point and give the point to Tampa Bay Damage, is at least now with a little under 8 minutes left to go, 7 minutes, 59 seconds remain here in regulation. At least that resets it, and it's going to give Houston Heat a chance to try to get one on the board, take it to a 1-point game. Also, make sure to sign your team up ahead of time for World Cup. You want to sign up early for that one, save yourself some money. Go to pspevents.com, get your team into the fight. Can't wait for World Cup, man. It's the tournament to be at. It's the hardest fight you can find. It's the funnest fight you can find, and also just a great scene because of just all the people you meet from around the world when you go to the World Cup.
Best tournament of the year, without question.
Yeah, year after year. So right now, Houston Heat getting things rolling. About 40 seconds to go before the start of this next one. Again, this is the last game of the day here before we call it a day, and then we will be back 8:15 Pacific time here in Riverside, California, to watch the bracketed death throwdown. 187 Crew and Art Chaos, first game for them. And then Ironman and Dynasty, Impact, Art Chaos, Dynasty Crew, and Impact and Ironman.
Tampa Bay Damage bringing Holiday, Bougere, Smith, and the Edwards brothers onto the field. Monville, Thomas Taylor, Woodley, Sewers, Moorhead. As Moorhead gets shot, going to the little cake. Over there on the Dorito side, all 5 bodies alive still for Tampa Bay Damage. Oh, there goes Chad Bougere out of the Snakeside can. So 4 on 4. Oh no, there goes Greg Sewers getting shot out of that corner for Houston Heat. So 3 bodies alive now. Oh, looks like Monville is asking for a check as well.
Yeah, referee running in there to check out Monville, and it looks like he is hit. So that's going to drop another body. Now it's just John Woolley and Thomas Taylor left alive. And again, you know, Tampa Bay Damage playing this one here a little, well, decently more conservative than they played their first game, but they're making it work. Most importantly, above all, win the game. And so Dan Holiday, Dalton Vanderbilt, Jason Edwards, and Brian Smith still left alive on the field right now for Tampa Bay Damage. And they are, looks like Heat's going to concede the point. So, yeah, it's going to be this for the rest of the game. If Tampa Bay Damage gets up at all, they're just going to camp out, roll their guns, and wait for Houston Heat to do something. And when you get down by 2, unfortunately, you know, you either the guys have to attack or you got to concede the point. Because Damage is not, and rightfully so, they're not going to push forward with a body advantage and up a ton of points in these crucial games with, again, World Cup hopes on the line here, man. You know, if you stumble at this event, you're not going to be playing in the Champions Division of World Cup, which is about the biggest blow that you can have on a team. There's Coach Kevin Brethauer talking to Chad Bougere. And as Kevin talks to his boys before the start of this next one, looks like a timeout's being called by Houston Heat. 6 minutes and 54 seconds to go. We're going to be right back. Stick around.
We're on this side, right? Yeah. Hey, everyone understands? Slow and steady. Slow and steady. Stop what you have. It's easy that way, dude. If we make it outside, man, fucking don't make it hard. Just fucking look up the center and don't let him cover the center. It feels really good. Yeah, Brian, we have it. I have that outfit. He's not going anywhere. Yeah, I'm just letting you know when he raps on me and he got me in, don't just start spraying.
In 2006, Raza Design set out to create a new standard for custom paintball jerseys. No longer were a player's options limited to just blue, red, or yellow. Raza redefined art in paintball. Raza brought people a freedom of expression, options, and personality. Since 2008, Raza Design has been producing the most professionally created, performance-minded, design-enhanced, art-forward jerseys to play in. Whether you are a weekend warrior or a committed professional, everyone is welcome to enjoy our products.
Taking a look at the pits for Tampa Bay Damage. Putting a good performance up here against Houston Heat. Houston Heat called a timeout to talk it over. They don't want to go one-on-one today. Tampa Bay Damage, though, they look really good. They're controlling the action, they're shooting players off the break, and as soon as they get up a body or two, camping out, holding those lanes, and waiting for somebody to make moves. Houston Heat knows that. That's why they had to concede that last one. We got about a minute before the start of this next one. So Houston Heat, they got to find an answer for Tampa Bay Damage. Shots off the break and the gunfights they've been winning. But I'll tell you what, man, watching every single game today, watching all these teams, you got to give the nod to Damage. Chris, what do you think?
Well, I mean, right now, Damage is looking the best. I mean, Heat's a little sloppy. They're getting shot in the break. They're getting shot, making them secondary moves. They're getting beat up right now, 4-1. But I can never count out Houston Heat, man.
Yeah, and I don't want to take anything away from the two teams that played the best in the bracket of death. Edmonton Impact went 2-0 today, and our Chaos also went 2-0 today. But, you know, Saturday is where it all starts to catalyze. Saturday is when we really start to figure out who truly brought their best game to the tournament and who wants to win this thing and who's executing. So we're going to have to, you know, hit pause on those conversations as to who's playing the best here at this event until we watch tomorrow's competition play itself out.
You're absolutely right. It's hard to tell right now, man. I mean, Houston Heat's not a slouch by any means. 4-1. It's 3 points, but still, it's like 7 minutes left in the game. So
and also they've only scored one up till this point. So it's going to take some shots off the break and some quick points, some momentum stealing. And now look at this. They send Ryan Moorhead. Houston Heat sending Ryan Moorhead. You can see in the split screen breakout, Ryan Moorhead coming out to the back bunker now. Snake side where he played so masterfully at the last event in their second place performance. Edmonton Impact taking that event.
Well, Ryan Moorhead, he's a specimen. He's at the...
Yeah, he's been doing it at a high level for
he's amazing.
a long time.
But,
and also coming off that partial Achilles tendon tear,
yeah,
that's something to be spoken of too.
But, I mean, look at the sun. The sun right now, that's definitely affecting these guys for sure.
Yeah, when you're playing on the side that Houston Heat's playing on, as those long shadows and the sun starts to dip here in the western sky.
As you can see on the screen right in front of you.
Yeah, you start to get that glare, but it's definitely not stopping Chad George from getting to the 50-yard line. And that's the thing, though. Once you spread that field, 5 players alive for both teams, but once you spread that field, man, it's it gets tough to live in those back bunkers. And Damage, you know, going with that conservative breakout with their lead, the 3-point lead they have. They're really trying to solidify this win here by rolling those guns and isolating the players on Houston Heat, keeping them from advancing forward. They haven't been able to do it here in this point as Ryan Moorhead's in Snake 2. Chad George is at the 50-yard line. So it's only a matter of time now before Chad George and Ryan Moorhead are going to start to find those shots on those players for Tampa Bay Damage on the inside. But Damage fighting hard from those spots, tucked in as tight as they possibly can, rolling their guns, shooting their lanes. Just trying to stay alive, take as much time off that clock as possible, and maintain this lead that they have. You know, they're working with 3 points. And at this stage of the game, that's a lot, man. 5 minutes left to go. You're up 3. That's a pretty big lead with just 5 minutes left to go, Todd.
Yeah, with guys that aren't getting shot out of their spots, you know, that communicate very well, you know, that know how to adjust assignments on the fly. You know, everybody's making their spots for Tampa Bay Damage. You know, just sitting in their spots, shooting tons of paint, communicating, calling for help, getting it. You know, Houston Heat got into some good spots over here. You know, they had Chad George, he's up here in the 50 Snake. And, you know, Damage, no sign of panic at all.
Ref coming in, checking over one of the Damage players in the center. Now, you know, Chad George looking inside. Just waiting for somebody to drop a lane, waiting for somebody to make a mistake on Tampa Bay Damage's side. So we're going to see, though, you know, still that every single second that ticks off this clock with the score the way it is going to Tampa Bay Damage's favor. Still, they have not lost a body. Just digging trenches back there and hiding. And again, look, I mean, look at these guys. Look how tucked in Tampa Bay Damage is to their spots. All you're seeing if you're Houston Heat is just the, look at that, edge of goggles and tips of barrels and some hands and a little bit of shoulders. And that's just from this angle. I mean, you know, these guys aren't going to give these guys, or you know, Tampa Bay Damage is not going to give Houston Heat anything at all. But that is, you know, that's the name of the game for Damage. Damage has that chameleon-like ability to morph their style of play because of their high talent and experience level, and whatever happens in front of them. You know, if they have to play slow, they can do it. We've seen that they can play fast too. They have, again, you know, you could argue that Tampa Bay Damage has the fastest lineup in paintball. Todd, we were talking about that before. Do you think per man to man across the league, do you think Tampa Bay Damage has the fastest squad?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
there's no one slow on that entire team.
No. I would give them that for sure. I think the next closest might even be, you know, Houston Heat here.
Well, so the time really starting to play a factor here. Houston Heat, they lost Ryan Moorhead out of that snake finally. So it looks like Dalton Vanderbilt was able to get a shot on him. And right now, it's a dire situation for Greg Sewers, Tim Montresor, Chad Boucher, and Chad George. They have to push forward. Moves being made in the center. Tim Montresor able to get up in the center right now. But they don't have a lot of time, and they have to crack this, and they need to crack it within the next 30 seconds to have any chance whatsoever of tying this game up and taking it to overtime. So very crucial seconds ticking themselves off here. Damage still 5 players left alive for Tampa Bay Damage.
Yeah, I mean, but they don't really care. Oh, well, there was Tim Probst right now.
Yeah, looks like Timmy. Yeah, Timmy and Greg traded out.
Way to go, Matty.
Well, I mean, Houston
there goes Chad
Heat,
Boucher getting shot going out to the corner.
I was going to say Houston Heat stacking up to try to make something happen, but then ooh, look at that as Jacob Edwards tries to make something happen for Damage, and now things are loosening up a little bit. This is that chameleon-like ability. This is the different levels that Damage has in there. Look at this! Wow!
And that going to work on the 50 snake.
Yeah, Dalton.
50 Dorito.
Well, Dalton Vanderbilt was able to go from hiding into offense immediately. But Todd, you talk about this a lot. Paintball is one of those unique games where at the drop of a hat, you go from playing defense to playing offense.
Yeah, you start on offense, you could go to defense in a drop of a dime.
Yeah, and then look over, lose 2 guys. Oh, we're on defense. Oh, we got 3 more kills. Oh, okay, now I'm on offense.
again.
Where do you go?
Yeah, so it's one of those situations where no matter what, you have to keep your wits about you, because that, Tampa Bay Damage, that was an amazing point from them. They took everything that Houston Heat had to offer. Houston Heat had a guy in the 50 in the center. They had a guy in the 50 in the snake. And a similar situation to kind of what we saw when Dynasty was playing Impact was that, no matter what Dynasty threw at Impact, again, bend, don't break. If you have guys in front of you that are pushing aggressively forward, well, that's fine. Bend, don't break. Absorb that push. Absorb that aggressive push. But then, take control of the situation, and then when the situation presents itself, just like we saw from Dalton Vanderbilt, then you turn the tables on the team, and like Todd, like you always talk about, you go from playing defense to playing offense just like that, and that was just an amazing, Dalton just stormed down. As soon as a body dropped, a couple bodies dropped, Dalton was able to go right up into that 50D side and just murder the guy in the center 50 and also the guy in the snake 50, and they had no idea what was coming.
Yeah, Tim Montresor trying to on the A trying to lock off the snake side or, look to make a move, and, once they lost Boucher and Sewers, it was over with. Giving Tampa Bay Damage that 5-1 lead. Minute 11 left to go here. Let's see what Houston Heat tries to throw at them, but Tampa Bay Damage, they'll probably just get out to their spots alive, just cross it up again, just get this game over with here. So.
Yeah, and at this point, again, when we talked about heading into this matchup, this was going to be kind of the deciding game of today's competition for who looks the best in this bracket number 2. And right now, it's definitely Tampa Bay Damage with just 1 minute and 11 seconds left to go. There's really no way Houston Heat can come back with 4 points. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after these messages.
Isn't just a field. This is my home. This isn't just a team. This This is my family. This isn't just a sport. This is a way of life. This isn't just a league. This is the MSXL.
We're back here. Tampa Bay Damage on your screen. They are in the driver's seat right now, but they lose a body. And here comes Keith DeVitt. Keith DeVitt trying to get some. Ooh, but he got put down.
Getting smoked down. So
yeah,
there's 2 on the break right
he
there.
caught a bunch. So Keith DeVitt, the wild man from Houston Heat, gets past the 50-yard line, gets eaten up. Almost put to the ground. He's a tough guy, too, so he must have caught a bunch and some soft spots. But bodies drop with him. But unfortunately, wow, I'm looking at Keith DeVitt, and then I look up, and everybody's dead.
Running on the other way.
and it's the Edwards brothers and Timmy Probst that shot everybody, with Keith Brown with an addition shooting Dick Slowiak. And that's pretty much going to do it here, as now with the time's probably going to tick off. Yeah, so Keith Brown just slowly but surely walking that flag in. What an amazing performance from Tampa Bay Damage today.
You know what? They're the favorite right now. I'm in.
Well, okay, so the three favorites right now are Impact, Art Chaos, and Tampa Bay Damage. Those are the 3 teams that went 2-0 on the day. The 2 teams, Art Chaos and Impact, out of that crazy bracket in the morning. We're going to see them play tomorrow morning again. So we'll really, truly find out who is going to make Sunday both in a good and a bad way. Good way, top 4 teams go to the semifinals. Yeah, in a bad way, who's playing in those relegation games? Because the bottom 4 teams will be fighting for the World Cup lives. Because if they mess up and lose those games, then they will be playing in the Challengers bracket. And then on the flip side, X Factor stumbled a little bit today, though they did win. So they lost to Revo 5-6, but they won huge over Boom 7-1. So that's going to help their point differential. So they're going to be at a +5. And then Infamous won out today. Aftershock also won 2 games today. So interesting day, man. You know, I mean, and that's what we thought we were going to see here at the West Coast Open.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yeah, of course. You know, when you have what's at stake, the caliber of the teams, and a layout that has played very interesting. You know, a lot of people, similar to MAO, going to play some. There's going to be some slow games. Yes, we definitely saw some slow points out there. We did see some lower scoring games, but you know, look at the morning bracket. The morning bracket, there was some 7s, a lot of 6-5 games, and pretty much the first 6 games went to 6-5. So you know, this has been a pretty crazy day so far, but definitely the favorites emerging from day 1: Tampa Bay Damage, Art Chaos, and Edmonton Impact. No surprises there. A lot of teams went 1-1 as well too. Your team went 1-1, Todd. Vicious. How do you guys feel with that last loss that you guys took to Moscow Legion? 7-2. What do you think?
I mean, we got way more penalties than I like to see. You know, but you know, just kind of a lack of execution. You know, in that Russian Legion game. You know, I really want to kind of go back and see it from the other side. You know, go home and watch it from the webcast. You know, kind of see, but you know, just I don't know. I mean, I feel like you know, we're 1-1. You know, you can't really complain about that.
Yeah, not a bad day.
You know, not a bad day. We're gonna have 2 really tough games tomorrow between Tampa Bay Damage and Houston Heat. But I mean, a lot of these teams, like, they know what's at stake. You know, a lot of these teams are really playing you know, played a ton of paintball leading up to this. You know, we were gone for basically every weekend leading up to this event, and you know, experience definitely plays a huge factor. You know, we were in Canada last weekend. There was a wedding the weekend before that. Didn't practice the weekend before that.
Brian Bortle got married. But But you're 1-1 with the 0 right now, so it's a wash on the point differentials. But before we sign off for the day, let's check in with Lauren Kelly.
Hey guys, I am here with Keith Brown and Dalton Vanderbilt. Congratulations, you guys went undefeated today, and with pretty big point spreads. This match, I was really expecting it to be a grinder. Were you surprised by how big of a point spread you got early on?
No, because on this field, when you go down a few points, it's really hard to come back because we're just going to bottle up in the center and shoot our lanes and play that old school damage paintball.
You guys always say that old school damage paintball. What exactly does that mean?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Keith.
Keith?
Well, we use like controlled aggression. You know, we like to sit back and wait until we get like a few kills, then we make our moves.
During your first match, though, you guys were having faster points, and you were getting down the field a lot quicker as opposed to this match against Heat, where you were sitting in your bunkers and kind of waiting for them to come to you. How do you make that decision on what kind of pace you're going to have during a match?
I think it also comes down to like who we play. You know, Heat's good at controlling lanes and staying alive, so we have to do the same. This field's all about bodies, so we just try to stay alive and keep the communication up.
Tomorrow you guys have VCK and Vicious. How are you feeling going into that? Are you pretty confident that you're going to go undefeated for prelims?
I mean, I would say today was our harder day. So, I mean, I don't want to be too confident, but today was a hard day, and we did pretty good today. So, I'm pretty confident about tomorrow.
Now, I have to say, you both were running so fast down the field. Who do you think is a faster runner?
I think I got Dalton. I got him.
What do you think?
I mean, I don't want to race to blow my leg out, but I don't know. I think I'm faster. I definitely made out here. I didn't see anyone else make it today, so.
All right. So we'll have them race when it's all over, guys. I promise. That's all here on the champion field. Make sure you check back tomorrow for more awesome matches.
Yeah, so a happy and triumphant Keith Brown and Dalton Vanderbilt, and they should be, man. They played great today.
Absolutely, man.
Well, they ended up 2-0, +9. That's an amazing performance today in the games they had to go down with. But look at this, some end-of-day highlights here. There's CEP.
I mean, 187 played really, really well. CEP played really well as well.
Well, this is the game we watched Revo play. You know, and Revo defeated X Factor today. So Revo, they beat CEP, and then they also beat X Factor. So Revo went 2-0 today.
Revo, man, they're up and coming, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, I talked to the VCK guys. I think a lot of people are giving respect to Revo. These top plays are brought to you by Empire Paintball. Check out their all-in program. If you are looking to get an all-inclusive package and help your team progress through tournaments. And then we moved into that Red Storm Boom game, which was won by Boom 6-5. That was a close one, man. Jason Dennis had such an amazing performance in that game for Boom, really making a name for himself. But Red Storm, there's Bear Gidio. Red Storm, not looking bad either, man. You know, Red Storm went 0-2 today. They had a close game against CEP and then a really close game against Boom, too. And they made the semifinals at the last event.
Yeah, and right, CEP. And also look at Art Chaos going to work today, playing very, very well.
Good. Yeah, Chris, they absolutely went to work today. Art Chaos needed a performance like we saw out of Art Chaos today. Art Chaos assembled their team in the offseason. They've been dominating in Europe for the past couple seasons, but assembling a bunch of players from different teams, not in the PSP, which is, you know, this is the hardest test you can have. If you want to test your paintball team, are you the best? Well, you got to come to the PSP. It's unarguable.
Yeah,
so Red Storm,
so
Red Storm coming out here, and I'm sorry, our Chaos coming out here today and winning 2 games. They went 2-0 with a +2. So still kind of a little bit low. They won some close games, but they look good doing it, man. Art Chaos, you have to say they are one of the favorites. Tomorrow, Art Chaos has to play 187 Crew and Impact in that really tough bracket number 1. It's a really hard bracket, but you know. And then moving on to the Ironman and Art. I'm sorry, so we're still in that Ironman Art Chaos game. But, you know, you can't sleep on the Ironman.
A-Rod.
Ironman went
I'm a fan.
Hey, Ironman went 1-1, so they did win a game. They lost a game, but they went with the +3 on their point differential, so not looking too bad. Tomorrow, the Ironman have to play Impact, and they have to play Dynasty.
Hey, that was that fast game.
That's a tough... It's a tough bracket for the Ironman, so big test for them. But Alex Goldman playing through an injury. Toe Camel, some successes over here on the Snake side. You know, but it's tough though, man. Again, in that particular bracket, you're talking about Impact, Ironman, Dynasty, Art Chaos, and 187 Crew all in the same bracket.
That's finals. That's Sunday.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy right there.
And here's where Rabikoff blows up somebody.
Yeah, Rabikoff had a good day today, as well as his team, Edmonton Impact. Edmonton Impact beating Dynasty 5-1. That was a big win for Edmonton Impact, for sure. And you know, so they had a +5 today. So 2-0 and a +5, looking pretty solid. So you have to give them the edge over Art Chaos, who went 2-0 with a +2. What do you think, Todd?
I think Max Trailer had a couple good games today, a couple not so good games, but he's always kind of fun to watch. You know, we got Dynasty over here.
I can't tell him without the visor.
Here was Dynasty getting beat up a little bit.
Yeah,
in
Dynasty's
their matches today.
They struggled today. Dynasty with the same exact record and point differential as 187 Crew. Went 0-2. Both those teams went 0-2. -5. Really rough day. Definitely the worst day that Dynasty has had for the first day of a tournament. I can't even remember the last time Dynasty lost 2 games with a negative point differential. Well, if you lose 2 games, you're going to have a negative point differential. But, Dynasty now has lost 4 prelim matches in a row dating back to the last event at Chicago Open because they lost. That was Oliver Lang with that awesome run through. But yeah, man, Dynasty is really going to have to pick it up. I'm expecting a long meeting from them. Rusty Glaze is probably going to be laying down the law, and they have to change things up. They cannot head into tomorrow because tomorrow Dynasty has to play Ironman and they have to play 187 Crew. So
I want to see at the middle more, man. I'm telling you, that middle is untouched right now. It's like virgin ground.
Yeah, it was tough though, man. They were catching them off the break. They lost a ton of gunfights today. Dynasty was really struggling with their gunfights. And this is a gunfight-heavy field. The teams that are going to prevail out here are the teams that are going to assert themselves in those gunfight positions and win more gunfights than they lose. Seems simple, but obviously really, really hard to actually apply out there when you're playing against the caliber of the teams that everyone has to play against out here. But Dynasty, no excuses, man. We're talking about San Diego Dynasty here, most successful team ever. And up until Saturday at Chicago and today, they hadn't lost a game yet in the prelims, and now they haven't won a game since then. So 4 consecutive losses in the prelims for San Diego Dynasty. And then we were on to that. They're still in that Art Chaos Dynasty game.
Tons of highlights from that game down there.
Well, it was
Biernikov.
That was a pretty good game.
Yeah, it was a really tight game. I think that one finished
6-7 in overtime.
So, here we have Alex Goldman right there from the Ironman getting ran down. That was one of those highlights for the old boy Max Trailer.
And we got to tip our hat again to Alex Goldman even playing through that injury he has with his knee.
Here's that shot that Vitalich just
that was a great shot
on Mantoni.
That was a good shot right there, actually.
Yeah, I got him on the inside.
Loved it.
Here's Eddie Painter.
Getting shot in the shoulder.
Gonna catch one in the elbow right there.
So. Yeah, and that was a tough game, man, for Upton 187 Crew. And it was kind of a close game in the beginning, but the Ironman started to run away with it. Which preserved their day. The Ironman went 1-1 today with a +3, so the Ironman's still on the hunt tomorrow. They have Dynasty and Impact, like we said.
Best move of the day? Glenn
Takamoto, absolutely.
Without question.
As far as best move of the day is concerned, Glenn Takamoto for sure had the best move of the day over there on that D side. That was an impeccable move.
Let me Google that real quick.
Yeah. So then, moving on, looking at Tampa Bay Damage, and I really like that now Tampa Bay Damage has Dalton Vanderbilt on the D side and able to really utilize Chad Bouzier in that center a little bit more. And we were seeing him scurry all over the place in there. Saw him die right there. But such a big weapon for Tampa Bay Damage. Saw Dalton Vanderbilt get peeled off here. But again, Tampa Bay Damage looking real solid today as every single team, all 10 teams here in the Champions Division, they had the best record and the best point differential, 2-0 with a +9.
And here's some highlights from VCK. Not a whole lot of highlights today.
Well, yeah, the thing with VCK is, they're testing themselves right now. They lost
their first challenge, first Champions
Division. They lost big today. It was 7-2 against you guys, Vicious, and then also 7-1 against Houston Heat. So just unfortunate turn of events with Houston VCK. But let's check in with Lauren Kelly with some Challengers updates before we close out the day.
Thanks, Maddie. Yeah, there were so many awesome matches that went on over on the Challenger field, so I wanted to bring you a quick recap before I leave and get some sleep. Revo, Infamous, and Aftershock won both of their matches. They went 2-0. X Factor, CEP, Top Gun, and Boom both went 1-1. And Red Storm, Excessive, and Thunder lost both of their matches. Now, a couple games to really highlight. Revo was playing really well today. They won against CEP, which we saw here on the champion field earlier this morning, and then they beat X Factor Factor as well. X Factor was just plagued by penalties. They gave it away in overtime 4-5. Another one to highlight was Aftershock versus Top Gun. It was the last game played on the Challenger field. Aftershock was up 4-1, but then they got 2 major penalties. Top Gun came back. It was tied 4-4. In the last point where Top Gun could have won, they were up 2 bodies, 4-2, but Kirk Wozni and Chris Dostine were able to hold down in their bunkers and let that clock burn out to launch it into overtime. During that overtime, Aftershock came out really strong and shot out all of the Top Gun players within the first minute, taking that overtime win. Tomorrow here on the Challenger field, we're going to be seeing Excessive versus Thunder and Infamous versus Top Gun battle it out. Infamous had a great day. They won both of their matches. They were pretty big point spreads, but Top Gun is a tough team as well, so we'll have to see what happens. I will see you all tomorrow.